of What Remains of Edith Finch. I'm looking at the family tree here. The last time in part 4, we saw Sam's story, and he was hunting with his daughter Dawn, and he died when he was thrown off a cliff, of course. And then we also got Gregory's story. He was the 1-year-old in the tub who was playing and imagining, and he drowned. Now Sam was married to Kay. You can see the little leaf there. And then they had the 3 kids, Gregory, Gus, and Dawn. We haven't got Gus's story. And Dawn is Edith's mom, the person who's telling the story. So, and then Sam remember that room where it was split into 2? So Sam and Calvin, the one that fell off the swing, were twins. So we have Sam and Calvin. Calvin dies when he's 11. Sam goes on to the Marine Corps, marries Kay. They have 3 children: Gregory, Gus, Dawn. Dawn is Edith's mother, and that's whose room we're in right now. We're in Dawn's room. So let's see what happens here. Okay. So this is Dawn's room. We just climbed up. It was like this little climbing thing. We can climb up a wall. What do we got here?
I can't imagine what it was like for her to lose 2 sons after she'd already lost 2 brothers. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
All right.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
Before we move on,
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Yeah, it must be rough on a kid. That looked like fun. I don't know if I accomplished anything. It looked fun. Wait, did we miss Gregory's story? Did we miss a story here? Or Gus?
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
Too good at flying this kite.
tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Okay, I'm not sure what triggers these things. Come on, let's go. I'm supposed to let something out.
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
I got a bad feeling about this. I don't think this is going to end well. Oh, down.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
It's a very blustery day. Did I miss some?
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
So there's the kite. Whew. Okay, is there anything else that I might have missed? I don't think so. Let's head back up. Head back up here. Let's head up.
When my
up,
dad
up.
died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
Yep, had to add on to the house. Let's see, is there anything else out here? Oh. So there's Dawn, the mom, and her plants. Edith is who's telling this story, and we don't know who Milton or Lewis is yet.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Wow. That's a view. I miss Washington State.
But it didn't last.
Is there any shinies besides the one on the door? So it looks like they were homeschooled here by the mom, Dawn. Let's head out. Let's see what's over here.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Let's go around. Ah, here we go. Okay. Another very creative person.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Now, I used to make these flip books when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite things. I just have a shark swimming along, or like a UFO, like, you know, flying through the, you know, stars.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Okay. Didn't say how
Mom
he
spent
disappeared.
months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Okay. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay, let's go back around. I really like this view. This is really cool. I really would have liked to live in a house like this. As long as you don't get the curse along with it. Okay. And by the way, this is really well designed as well. Because let's say when you look in here and you open the door, what do you see? You see Milton. Boom. So you think, okay, I'm going this way. This is where, and then once you do Milton, you turn around and it's like, oh, there's a stairway here. So it helps you kind of direct you, because you probably could have done this first. It's just, they don't force you. It's just by the way this house is designed, it points your eyes towards certain places where they want you to go. I think that's pretty good. That's just good game design, right there. Good. Yeah. So this game is wonderfully designed.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Okay.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room, except Lewis.
Now, which way should we go? Let's go left here first. See what happens. Wow. Any shinies? Yes. Do I pull? Pull? Okay, let's try it the other way. There we go.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Okay.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself, he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her.
I gotta go with electric guitar on this one.
Electric sitar.
Oh, sitar. Sorry.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. We began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
Got a bad feeling about this.
Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Yep. There's a song by the rock band Queen. Probably should be the... Oh, I went the wrong way. Come on, come on, come on. Should probably be the theme song from for this video game. Dun-dun-dun. Oh, I must be. Does the game want me to go a different way? Or where am I supposed to go? No, not there. Oh, exit. Okay, we got it. Yes. Dun dun dun. Another one bites the dust.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Open the door. Open the door.
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Oh, look at that. She wrote a book. 7 ways to create a fulfilling classroom. Sanjay Kumar. That's Edith's dad.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Yeah. Let's move around.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Is that room we peeked in?
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask But I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Very sad story. Whew. And that was it. That was What Remains of Edith Finch, which apparently is the journal, the book. So this was an unusual game in that it was more of a story that you kind of, as you go through the house, you just get bits and pieces of story. And we get to meet this family, tragic family that everybody dies. But you know, I like it when game companies when they try something different. And so this was definitely something different, and I liked it. I liked the game, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So, if you liked this playthrough, hit like or subscribe. Have a blessed day, and look around for some other interesting games to do Let's Plays of. Alright, see you next time.